as like fantasy maps, or it's gonna be like 3D maps and so forth. So I'm gonna leave that color here. I'm gonna make my decision later, but I do want to add some mountains here because I do want this area to remain cut off or isolated here. So what I'm gonna do is here I'm gonna stamp some more mountains here just to make it look kind of you know closed off. Also, please excuse the noise in the background. Um, I can't control who does what outside. So so yeah, you know. All right, so let's do that here. Oh man. So while I do some tweaking here, and adding and taking away some stuff, I'm just gonna talk to you guys about a few things that's going on right now. As you all know, I am trying to get the book. I'm trying to get the book published on a larger scale here. Pretty much, I am looking for book agents, and hopefully I can catch a book deal. And the reason for these maps here is because the fact with the maps adding a lot of assets to the book series, such as like I'm still working on the language and stuff. I'll get to that in a minute. But working on a book series, especially doing a fantasy book series, I want to offer a lot to the audience. I want to really do a complete immersion into the story, and I think that's very important, especially for like when you serving your future readers. Um, and the reason why I say like serving future readers because like pretty much yes when I started off the book series, the Dark Ichalochian book series, I really started writing for myself, but also I'm writing for you guys as well. Not to say that you know not to say that like my work is like totally for you. It is totally for you guys, but it's not totally for myself as well. The reason why I have chosen to do a fantasy book series is because the fact that you know I was just a kid, growing up, especially like the best works that has been done in fantasy work, especially growing up in the 80s. I'm a Gen Xer, you know, and pretty much been a Gen Xer and stuff like that. A lot of good movies like fantasy movies came out in the 80s. If I'm talking about like Conan the Barbarian, Red Sonja, Willow, the Never Ending Story, all those stories that came out, which has influenced me. Also, I am a science fiction nerd as well. And excuse me, my nose is itching. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I'm a science fiction nerd as well. And pretty much being a science fiction nerd and growing up in the 80s, I say like I think millennials. My God, millennials and Gen Z don't know what the hell they are missing or have missed. I think the 80s pretty much kicked off a lot of good good movies, good genres and stuff like that dealing with fantasy work. Now, pretty much like I took most of my inspiration from like 80s and 90s movies and so forth, and also like not to mention RPG games like Final Fantasy. There's a lot of good ones. Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, all the stuff like has pretty much influenced my work and stuff like that. And I'm trying to like recreate that magic for I wouldn't say for the modern audience, but for an audience that to create that nostalgia that I have experienced growing up. So this is the reason why I pretty much do a lot of maps and stuff like that, or start doing fantasy work, and so especially with book series. So yeah, so pretty much what I'm doing is I'm just been trying to make things a little bit more realer here. Um, I want to expand it out a little bit. I really want to try to create more space for you for the map. Because I don't want to be too congested. As I was looking through it, I thought it was looking congested. So I'm going to try to fix that. So the map is almost somewhat finished. I just did not, finish it sooner. There's some things I wanted to do, and also I got to get the names together for the map. Uh, it's been like almost been like 2 years since the original. I completed the original map, 2 to 3 years, which has not been that long. I mean, time really flies. So I mean, so basically, I'm just trying to stretch out the map here, and make it look more realistic, make it look more engaging and stuff like that. So, and if you wonder why I have purple and blue mountains, well, it's a fantasy world. I do what I want, and you can do what you want too. I encourage to if you ever decide to do fantasy maps or do an RPG map, um, think outside the box. That's what art is about. You think outside the box. You know, really dig in there. All right. I really don't want to add too much. I really just gonna try to add the names to the maps and stuff like that. But I'm going to try to. I'm still kind of deciding here because this is like low altitude, low altitude. Let me see, low altitude landscape here. That's what I meant to say. So yeah. All right. Let me see. I really don't have much to add here. Let me put up the original map. Let me see if I can find that first. Because the original map has the names on it. Let me see. Layers. Object. I got 144. I got 18,000, a little bit over 18,000 assets here on one map. So I got to figure out where I'm looking for. Looking for let me see, the very map that I started off with. Let me see. All right. Also, what has been going on is that I am practicing manga right now, manga drawing. Um, I have to say that that has been a very interesting experience. I haven't really drawn in years. Just really picked it back up over the summertime. Well, I mean, I've done doodling stuff like this, sketches, but I haven't actually done like completed work. So let me see if I can find this asset here real quick because I don't know what happened to it. So let's go to open catalog so I can figure what's going on. If not, I just stamp it on there. Also, this is not an advertisement. I'm not being paid for this. If you ever want to do a map design or so forth, I say go to incarnate.com. So far, they have been the best map designing, what they call it, open source or I forgot what it's called. But the website here is pretty much the best. To doing map design. I think I told you before, like it's very cheap. It's $5 a month or $25 a year. You can't beat that. Okay, so all right. Now the map is going to look a little bit different. Of course, because um, the reason for that is because I want to, I wanted to go a little bit more deeper into the landscape. Like plus like this is more like a detailed map compared to what you see here. Of course, there are some different things here I had like added with the map landscape, but if you really look at it, like this is pretty much a smaller scale up here compared to here's like a larger scale. So like in a smaller scale map, you won't be able to pick up a lot of details like you would be able to do here. So that's a little bit more the reason why it looks a little bit different. But I am trying to keep the same. Um, I am trying to keep the same concept when I design the map. So what I want to do here is I gotta place a pillar here because like it marks you know it marks a landscape here. So I'm gonna put a pillar right there. For time being, do a little crystal pillar. And this is going to be a map. I'm just finishing up everything here at the last minute. So let's do this.